Hey guys, MoiDawg here, and today I've got no script. I was literally just finishing up stream, starting to get to work on some of the Platoon mod stuff. I pulled up the SDK and saw that we had an update. So the SDK, if you're not familiar with, it's the source development kit. It's how you make mods for Squad, and there is new stuff. Well, one, you have the Canadians are actually in the modded content now too. So Canadian Armed Forces. So if you've noticed in the past, if you've played mods, you probably have never really played mods with the Canadians in them. That's because it's been a separate part. And very few and far between will you see people that actually have access to those files. So that is now in the modded SDK. So hopefully we'll get mods with Canadians in the future. But the big thing that I saw is Anvil. So if we drop this back here, Anvil, back down, you see the bottom of my screen here in the bottom of the SDK. Anvil has everything in it. I know that it's a map coming out for Squad. I didn't know if it was coming out so soon because we haven't heard anything about the Aussies yet, other than it's broke and we need to fix it. And until we fix it, then no Aussies. But just like Lashkar, it appears that Anvil is actually going to be, I don't know if there's a release date, but I can tell you right now it's actually in the SDK. So if you download the SDK, you could actually fly around and check it out. So let's check it out. The gameplay layers, I'll bring this up for you guys here. So gameplay layers right now that is included in the SDK, and although this isn't confirmed what's going to be in the real game, it does appear, usually if they're in here, they're in the game. So you'll have two AES layers, V1 and V2, Anvil Invasion, V1 and V2, a couple RAS layers, V1 and V2, a skirmish layer, and a territory control layer. And if you've never played Anvil, let me zoom out here, it's essentially just this whole kind of dried river basin. You've got, actually, the invasion, one of the invasions actually had us, the insurgents, I believe, pushing in from the north up here, down into the urban south. So it was a lot of nonsense when the Aussies were actually a mod. So, but for the invasions, I would assume we'd have one on the north side and one on the south side. We'll check them in a second. But we got Blue 4 main, and hopefully, like I said, eventually this will be Aussies. But I would bet right now there's no Aussie content really planned. We haven't had any big update for Aussies. We haven't had any big updates even mentioning status on DLC, because Aussies will be implemented in the game like Canadians and not like MEA, or whenever we get Marines or Pan Asia, it will be DLC. So we will have, supposedly, like if you're to look at the SDK, it should show up as, you know, Australian Armed Forces or whatever it's called down here, if we were to get it in the game. So nothing like that. I think we'd have a really big update and a lot of news if that was the case. So we don't. Anyway, a couple objective areas here. So let's take a look at the first AS area. So Vineyard is one of the main areas here. Everything that is labeled, usually, not always, but usually is an objective area. So if you can see this here, there's actually quite a few objective areas. And one thing that I noticed in when I played this, when this was actually modded content, when we were playtesting it, is that a lot of games you would be kind of funneled into this basin here. So if you see this, you know, it's all low, super low ground here, very flat down below because it is just a river basin, and then up top here you'd have people just hanging out and setting up fire bases and tows and stuff like that, and just raining hell down on anything in the valley. Kind of like it's like a stretched out Logar Valley, maybe is a good way to put a stretched out Logar Valley. But you have some really cool flat areas. If you do, I really hope we do get some form of some fighting up here. But as you can see, it doesn't look like there's any objective areas. This would just be a pain in the ass. I wouldn't be surprised if on most maps actually this would even be an out of bounds area. So we got a couple of switchbacks here to a choke point, but let's get back towards the vineyard cap. So ASV1, remember Vineyard cap. It actually looks like a pretty standard Kohat or Logar cap. We'll hop on over to Orchard, kind of the same thing. One thing that, oh yeah, we did play this one on the Aussie test, I believe. One thing that I noticed is, unlike a map like Logar or a map like even Kohat has some of these things where you have an objective like right underneath a ridge line. The one thing though is Kohat, Logar, all those places you can actually fire down and be relatively hidden. Up here, if you were to set up here, it's actually pretty difficult to stay alive just because of how open it is. And you try to peek and get fighting down an orchard, and you're probably going to get shot pretty well. What was actually during the play test, we would have a lot of fighting in, obviously these orchards here. But if you look here, let's try to get down low here a little bit. Might fix the camera so we move a little slower. But I mean, this is going to be Bush Wookiee Central, man. And this type of fighting, when you can see even the micro terrain, and you have little rolling hills, and it's not just all flat and some bushes. Like, this stuff is pretty fun to fight in. It's going to suck sometimes, but this is the kind of stuff that it is just having some good old-fashioned infantry fighting from these types of trees, and then break it into the actual street fighting, which is pretty good. And let's take a look at the next one. So we got Vineyard Orchard. What is this? Lavender Farm. Okay, Lavender Farm. And that's actually a pretty big objective. It's actually odd. I'm going to zoom out here. So if you see Lavender Farm, it actually kind of looks like Orchard, which kind of looks like Vineyard. Is Collat the same? Okay, Collat is actually just, it looks like an actual little, almost like a little tiny set of, village? Almost like a market, maybe? Maybe it's a market. Poppy. All right, Poppy's a little different, but Lavender, Orchard, and Vineyard do actually look fairly similar, and they do have these giant hills on the cliffside on each side. So this will be very concentrated fighting. I do remember during the Aussie playtest, what would typically happen is we'd have the LAVs or tanks would almost be holding the high ground, because if you go on the low ground down here, it is AT can hide anywhere. Doesn't matter. Every turn, every bend, you're going to have people just in the bushes waiting to track a tank, track a BMP, blow some tires off something with some mines. Doesn't matter. So we actually would have, somewhere around here, you'd almost try to get vehicles setting up and just trying to do Overwatch. Every once in a while, you get some brave soul try to go down the valley, and it just would not end up very well. So we got that, and we'll go back to Poppy to see here. So overall, I mean, I don't like AAS. I'm pretty. I say that quite a bit, but with a map of this size, because we even had maps with like Mestia has a very, very good 7 cap layer. I honestly would like to see AAS for Anvil be 7 caps, because I feel like the 5 cap AAS layers just go by too quick, and 7 caps really allows both teams to kind of slug it out a little bit more, and then the one that does lose the mid cap usually has some way to fall back and kind of organize themselves before it gets too rolly. I think maybe because of how narrow this is, you can see this is, first of all, it's pretty impressive. It looks realistic, right? It looks like it's plucked right off of a topographic map, and that's just done really, really well. I'm almost a little disappointed we don't have too much fighting over here. This is probably going to be reserved for invasion, just this whole western side with the towns. I think there was a town, yeah, down here. I know was an objective point before, but we can check this out here. And you know what? Hold that thought. You guys aren't going to have any time wasted at all. It takes a second for the editor to open back up. I'm going to open up the what is it? The invasion layer. And let's take a look at the invasion, just see what we got here. Okay, and right out the gate, we can tell that there is a different lighting layer. What do we got? Dawn. All right, we have Dawn set. So this is Invasion V1, and let's see what objective areas we will be looking like. Okay, so if you guys are unfamiliar with the SDK, which probably a lot of y'all are, this is actually how they do random, advanced, and secure, and this is why a lot of the time, well, and obviously Invasion, because we're looking at it, but this is why lanes are so kind of a problem, because they're all in clusters, right? So when it gets to a specific objective, it picks a couple of them, but then at a certain point, it's going to always pick the same objective because it's in the same cluster. So you see on the right here of your screen, from Team 1 main all the way down to Team 2, all this highlighted stuff. So your first objective is obviously going to be your main, and Blue 4 main. Yep, so invaders will attack from the northwest side of the map. And then the first point will always be Urban South. So Urban South down here will always be the first objective. No matter the randomness in the points, the first one's always going to be this objective. And I will tell you right now, from when we play tested this, let's take a look at this a little bit more. When we play tested this, oh my goodness, is this a fun point to fight over. Urban North is kind of, I think it's a little too main campy, so I'm glad they're not including that. But Urban South, you got this giant river, and it doesn't look like much, but when you can have a bunch of enemy just sitting up in these buildings, hiding in the trees, and you essentially have to cross either two very obvious bridges or cross along this water, it can be a bit of a slaughter. So I foresee a lot of people are going to, like, if for example, if this was British, I'd take a bulldog and just yeet on through, see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if you have Blue 4 setting up mortars over here, or trying to get, you know, some high ground over on this side, pushing into Urban South. But this is a super fun point to play. You can see the cap is actually quite large. You see this little capsule here, this kind of orange capsule. So all of these buildings in here will be your cap. Cool. Okay, so second will be either Market, which, oh, right here, Market. Man, that is a tiny objective. Okay, that is a tiny objective. It's very small. I kind of, okay. Yeah, that's kind of small. Okay, whatever. Market Bridge. Market Bridge? Oh, dude, this objective. Oh, man, I love this one. Are you kidding me? This is an objective? Oh, hell yes. Okay, this is something that I've been not, I don't want to say complaining, but I've been asking. Okay, so a lot of the Canadian layers, you'll notice that, especially I think Mutahad does this quite well. There's a new Canadian, is it Canadian? I think it's Canadian Kokan layer where it has Hyena Road. You have some objectives that are just, it is so hard to just actually get bodies on the cap because of how open it is. So you kind of need bodies obviously on the cap, but you might need an Overwatch. You might need to push through the objective to make sure they stop spawning so you can actually get on the objective. Dude, I love this point. That's great. I absolutely love that. Good job. And then Vineyard, yeah, which we saw before. Okay, so then we have Orchard, which looks like a little part of Orchard. Orchard Bridge. Oh, these bridge ones are awesome. I really, really like seeing that. And then Police Station. Interesting. I do like this. Police Station and Orchard Bridge are going to be much more interesting to fight over than Police Station. Okay, then we have Holdout. Doesn't look like we. Oh, this is going to be a. Dude, I'm just waiting. You know, guys. And let's be real. Someone's going to put a fob right here, and someone's going to make some last stand. It's going to be like the hangers in Talil. You put a hab there. Someone rolls in and just just farms you in the back there. Oh God, that's gonna. This is kind of cool though. I like this. It does kind of look The shape of the objective is a little okay. And then we have a lavender farm, which we saw last round. So also very small objective areas. Very small objective areas. But I do want to, once again, we mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the vehicles being down here. Dude, just look at how much foliage there, all the trees on every side. I mean, driving through here, going with infantry, it's going to be very difficult to get your bearings and see. I think you're definitely going to want to be moving as squads together, so that way when one person goes down, you can just turn around and try to pick off where that bush Wookie was. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bad time. All right, then we have Collat, which is that little, I believe this is a market or a castle thing. I'm not sure, but it's kind of a mazy compound. This reminds me of Fallujah Market, and it looks a little bit not as painful. Yeah, I guess it's an old fort. Yeah, old fort, old castle, something like that. But this is kind of cool. This will be your super fob. If you're on Holdout or Lavender Farm, you probably want to save artillery for Collat. And then, of course, we have a Collat Bridge point. This is a good one, too. This kind of reminds me of like a North Highway Bridge, where you have the bridge going into it and you can kind of fob up around it. And that's kind of cool. I kind of like this, man. The way that the river just kind of breaks up objectives and you have to fight over it multiple times throughout the map is super cool. All right, Riverside, just on the south side of Collat. This seems kind of boring. I mean, not every objective has to be like super whatever, but compared to some of them, dude, even just setting up like a Dishka is going to be a pain. You can't see anything up here, man. Setting up a Dishka SBG. I'm super curious. Do we have a? We should have. Oh, SDK knowledge. Anvil minimap. Here we go. Let me see. Here is the minimap. Wow. Okay, so the out of bounds is labeled in this kind of dark gray, obviously, you know, as it is in game. So it is quite possible that you can go wherever you want. I'd actually be very surprised if this is true. But this opens it up quite a bit. And if you have all these points now, where you can now get, oh man, INS is going to have to hold a barren hilltop as well as holding down, you know, holdouts or something like this in order to hold the points. This should make it actually pretty dynamic. I do like that. These kind of like these areas here where you're still getting the high ground a little bit. You can kind of look over the valley a little bit, but you're not skylining yourself. Yeah, this is opening up this map. I was really worried that they were almost good. You know how Korra, it really the mini map, it focuses you and funnels you down there. So I am super glad that we're able to get the whole map here. And then village, yeah, we're just looking at that. Okay, so next one would be, we got Poppy Farm down here. Oh man, and look at this objective area. Now that we know we can go literally everywhere, I mean, you're gonna have fight, like it's a little mix of Kohat, little mix of Logar. I like it, dude. I like this. I really like this. The full. I really hope it runs well. I have a feeling it's not going to be that optimized, but hey, one can hope, right? And then Plateau Village, nice. Finally, a first objective on top of the plateau. We need more fighting up here. I like fighting down in, and obviously the majority of this river basin, but having objectives up here, just like you have to treat this so much differently than the rest of the map. And even look at this. I think they did a really good job here. You can see if you come up on top. I'll speed this up a little bit more. Come up on top. Like this looks flat from above. Dude, it is super not flat. You got rocks and divots and all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can see even just right here. If I just go straight through, I mean, you have a lot of elevation on just one area of the map. So that is cool. That is really cool. This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun for vehicles and infantry here. Poppy Farm. It's pretty large. Kind of got the river on the one side. Giant, of course, cliffside on the other. And then Waterfall Village will be one of the last objectives. So let's zoom out here and check out Waterfall Village. Does it actually have a waterfall? Does it have a water? Right, I'm not trying to be rude, but if you name yourselves Waterfall Village, where's your waterfall? Oh, right here. Okay. Nope, that's true. There is a waterfall. That's a nice looking waterfall, though. That's really nice. All right, so there you go, Invasion. We'll do one last thing. I will check out the RAS is going to be a lot of... Oh, nope, here, this is... Oh, that's Skirmish. Okay, Skirmish. I was about to say Skirmish, you can see here. Skirmish actually has you fighting just alongside... bring this up here next to it. Looks like fighting right in the middle of the valley. Yeah, right up in here, and then it cuts up. Yep. So yeah, Skirmish will focus you in. I'm hoping the rest of the maps are okay here. I'm gonna take a quick look at territory control so that way y'all can see all you TC layers lovers out there. Let's see what TC looks like, and then we'll wrap it up here. Okay, and another lighting layer. We have midday, which is beautiful. Also, do we have fog? Ooh, that's not too bad. That's not... that's actually not too bad. Okay, I was worried it was going to be a lot worse. The fog doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. Also here, these... yeah, I was going to say, these aren't actually foggy areas. These are just hexes. So if you didn't know, hey guys, it's like a sausage factory. Hey, this is how the sausage is made. This is how the territory control is made. But the fog is actually not too bad. It's going to look a little wonky because it's going to be broken up by all these hexes. But it's actually... let's turn the fog off and on again. I mean, it's foggy. There's a lot worse maps. There's definitely a lot worse maps. So, okay, so let's take a look at how the hexes look. I'm really hoping it's all in the valley. Yeah, it's kind of a big horseshoe around the valley. Expect some strong points on the edge here. Hold the middle. Try to cut them in half. This would be fun. You know what I would like to see? And I don't know if this is just like a territory control masochist talking or something. Dude, give me a territory control layer that starts on the right here and goes over Plateau Village, Radio Station North, right in the middle here, and then ends up at Ancient Ruins and Urban North. And just like this, just open, completely hard to get across and set up and hold type thing. That would be kind of fun. Just completely... oh god, yeah, it'd probably be played once on every server, and then everybody would say no. So, okay, guys, well, that's it. I hope you guys had a nice little sneak peek of Anvil. Obviously, just because it's in the SDK doesn't mean it's coming out anytime soon, but I would be very surprised if it's in the SDK and it didn't come out soonish, since from what I can see, and although I am a relatively new modder, it's all done. It's all finished. You got multiple layers, what, 7 layers? Everything's looking good. You have objective areas, and I can't give dates out, but this wouldn't be in if it was still being worked on that much. So maybe some optimization stuff going on, maybe some lighting and shading and all that kind of stuff. But dude, how long has it been since new content? I think we're finally getting some big new content. So I hope you guys enjoy. If you liked everything, you know, drop the thumbs up, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But I want to know your comments. Let me know your initial thoughts on how this map looks, because I'm going to tell you right now, I am loving the look. I played so well during the Aussie mod, and it's just something different. Very unique terrain. and very unique gameplay depending on what part of the map you were on. Yeah, big river valley in the middle, but plateaus and elevation, stuff like that, and all the vegetation really made it for a fun map. So, yep, let me know. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a good one. Peace.